the importance of communication, especially on the workplace, is really important. Number one, crisis management. So I believe communication in general about the workplace is really important. Leaders have to have no choice but to imbibe this communication. Communication has to be as transparent as possible, and as truthful as possible. I believe the concept of inclusion at workplace is now even more stronger, and people need to talk to each other. And for instance, when COVID happened, a lot of people lost jobs. So leadership would come down and talk, have an open forum across a medium which otherwise wouldn't have been possible under a roof, and talk to people and say, look, we are going through a crisis. We need to cut salaries or we need to cut jobs. What do you say we do? So I've seen a lot of companies where they've been open and transparent in their communication, have been able to really sail through well. So yeah, I think in general, communication now holds even more importance than ever before.
Leaders must invest in building the right organization culture. Success in a crisis hinges on the culture of trust, accountability, and risk-taking. Culture of trust and transparency help leaders and organizations build the right level of credibility internally with employees and stakeholders, and also externally with vendors, suppliers, business partners. Culture of accountability ensures that leaders take critical decisions during crises and not look up the hierarchy chain for direction. And a culture for risk-taking, hopefully coupled with psychological safety, will empower leaders to take critical calls as they pivot to make the most of opportunities in a crisis period.
First of all, diversity is popularly understood as people, companies having more female presence. But diversity is not limited only to female or male ratio. As part of our company, we have a proposition. We are covering 8 forms of diversities, and I don't believe these are also enough. For instance, people who want to hire people who are coming from different social backgrounds or different religious backgrounds. There are people who should be hired who are coming after a career break. We have a lot of them, who want to resume their careers after a break. There are people, so a lot of things are changing. So first and foremost, every company today, nobody is going to do anybody a favor by having more diverse population in their workforce, because there is a very clear business case. You make more money, you are better equipped to handle the market situations if you have a diverse workforce. There is a business case. Number two, and I would say one of the upsides of having a COVID pandemic is that people are able to hire people remotely, which really opens your bandwidth in terms of talent. For instance, if you have a very niche skill and it is not really available in your city, now you're open to people sitting anywhere in the world having those skills and working for you. So I believe the agenda of diversity with the forward-looking organizations has really moved forward.
It's also important that the communication is really coming in from the heart. It can't be, it needs to come in from who. It's equally important who says it as much as what's been said. You can't, to a customer and a consumer, you can just put out a handle and have it as a handle which just communicates. But in an employee context, they know flesh and blood who lives in the organization and who are the leaders in the organization. Employees do know, and they know the tone and tenor. The beauty of human mind is we all discern between what is said naam ke vaste versus things which are really coming from the heart. And I know of, I can take this example, Mr. Vinit Nair, when he was in HCL, he used to dance on the floor, and he was such a hit amongst the employees because he used to mean it and do it. And I think that kind of connects with employees a lot more than how much of you kind of say it over an email or you say it over your IMs within the system. Yes, there are metrics available. Doing both structured and unstructured, run surveys, short surveys, do exit interviews, get your onboarding right. Folks are joining in, and they join in, find out what is it that the reason that they've really made the choice of joining your organization versus others. Dropouts, do some specific interventions and dropouts to get some metrics. So I think those are hugely valuable.
The rewards, whenever we are happy about something or we feel that something is a reward, our brain starts to produce some hormones which are slightly addictive. So we try to renew and repeat those rewards as much as we can, and that's also something which we can use in terms of compensation and benefits, obviously. Because we can design incentives, we can design programs and systems in a way through gamification, for example, which is going to help people and make them feel good. So, for example, if you think of employee recognition systems, you would have a gamification aspect which gives rewards on a regular basis to people, you know, when they receive a badge and all this kind of stuff. So it's not a topic that many people cover, but this behavioral science has a lot of impact in terms of comp and ben, and including in how we communicate about compensation and benefits.
This is my passion, right? My whole research has been on how to innovators and large organizations gain acceptance for ideas. From a senior management point of view, I think one of the things theoretically we tell companies to do is to establish a context for innovation. So, you know, if you're working in one company and you're in this area, even if your employees have the most brilliant of ideas in something completely else, your company or organization is not equipped to make that turn completely. And that, Nidhi, is so that the job of senior managers is to create a context where people, and give them like broad guidelines as this is what we are broadly interested in, and let employees paint the lines, right? You know, kind of give them the picture and then let them fill in the details of what, and that's how it's going to work really well. Yes, you can make the transition. In fact, one of my recent studies, I talk about how employees are successful only if they're able to leverage what a company does really well and take it into a new context, rather than saying everything you're doing is incorrect, let's go into a completely new platform. So I just told you, so the senior management level, their job is to establish a context for innovation so people can, let the 1,000 flowers bloom. That's kind of what we call it, all over the place. So that's their job, set the context. Middle managers, if you think about it, their job is to translate the senior management's kind of thought process and what they are thinking about innovation to the first line employees. Because first line employees are not really meeting the top management every day, right? So middle managers are kind of get a bad rap a lot of times, but they are so critical in the innovation process because the narratives, the story they tell about what the organization wants, what's important, is exactly what's getting translated to the first line employees. And when you talk about the hierarchy where you have first line employees who are coming with these ideas, and the middle managers also have to take these ideas and translate them such that it makes sense in a strategic context for the senior managers. So all I'm saying is, if you think about an organization and let's say 3 tiers, each of them have a different job to do, and innovation has to be absolutely intentional from the senior management. And in fact, my whole study and for 2 decades, the reason I got spurred was, when I was working in Silicon Valley, I had absolutely brilliant friends who came from IIT, all these big, amazing schools. And they used to get so frustrated with their managers. And I'm having this brilliant idea. Why is no one listening? No one's listening because it doesn't fit the strategic context of the organization. And fortunately or unfortunately, strategy 101 is organizations are set to accomplish a particular mission. They have certain competencies, so they can't just drop everything because you have a great idea. It's your job to make that connection, and it's your senior managers and middle managers' job to be those mentors to help you make those connections. So it's a two-way process. They have to guide you on how to tell that story of how your innovation fits the organization. And your job is to learn how to tell the story of how your innovation fits the organization. Even if it does not, that's the key part. Even if it does not, can you tell the story? Can you make those people see differently?
Most of the skills that the person is going to get need to focus on the technical aspects. You need to build those technical skills in order to be able to grow into the job and to bring value to the organization. But as you get, and it's not to say that the soft skills or the behavioral skills don't matter, but in the beginning, and especially if you're in a job which is more like hard skills focused, yes, it's going to be important that you demonstrate your technical expertise. But as the person gets more senior in the job, all those behavioral skills, and especially communication, for me being the basis of so many other things, such as influence and negotiation and relationship management, and even things like being able to prioritize and negotiate with others what should be done first and so on, will be based on soft skills and especially communication. So communication becomes more and more important as you grow into the job. And I think that this probably applies to a lot of positions, not just compensation and benefits, but I think it's even more visible when you have people who are in those kind of technical jobs, because you can really see the difference between those who will be focused only on the technical side and those who will become, managers and influencers and will be able to bring value for the whole organization instead of bringing value just in their own silo in the company.
Now, leaders must build resilience to deal with the crises. All leaders have a finite pool of energy from which they draw upon whenever they need an emotional boost. Now, during an extended crisis like the one that we are living through, this pool of energy may run dry. And therefore, leaders must indulge in resilience boosting activities. For instance, they can build their physical resilience by exercising, by walking, by any form of activity or physical sport. They can also build their mental resilience by meditation, by journaling. They can build their social resilience by driving social connections, and their emotional resilience by emotional savoring and practicing gratitude.